Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive into one of the biggest and, let's be honest, most confusing topics in prophecy, that 1,000-year period called the Millennium. It's this incredible story that bounces between heaven and a totally empty earth, and it's all held together by two major resurrections. It sounds complicated, I know, but we're going to break it all down step by step and make it super clear. So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll get a solid definition of what the Millennium actually is. Then we'll look at what's happening during those 1,000 years, because it's kind of like a tale of two completely different places. After that, we'll see how it all wraps up, which leads to this final epic confrontation, and then finally, we'll talk about the end result, a universe without sin. All right, let's jump right in with the most important question first. What exactly is the millennium we keep hearing about? Okay, so at its very core, the millennium is really defined by three key things. First, the timeline. It's a solid 1,000 years. Second, the main event. This is when Christ reigns with his saints, but, and this is super important, it's all happening in heaven. And third, its place in the grand scheme of things. This whole period is neatly sandwiched right between two huge events, the first and second resurrections. Let's just pause on that number for a second. 1,000 years. We're not talking about a quick weekend retreat here. This is an entire age, a whole era. And that specific length of time is absolutely critical for what's supposed to happen during it, especially when it comes to the process of judgment. The easiest way to think about this is like a chapter in a book with two really powerful bookends. The first resurrection, which is for the righteous, kicks the whole thing off. That's the first bookend. Then 1,000 years go by, and the chapter closes with the second bookend, the second resurrection, which is for the unrighteous. Getting this framing right is the key to understanding the whole timeline. Okay, so we know what starts it and what ends it, but what's actually going on during this 1,000-year period? Well, this is where it gets really interesting, because you have two totally different realities happening at the exact same time. Just look at this contrast. It's pretty stark. On one side, you've got heaven, which is buzzing with activity. Christ is there, reigning with the saints. They're reviewing the records of the lost, carrying out this judgment. But then you look at earth, and it's the complete opposite. It's described as totally desolate, empty, no people. It's basically a giant, inescapable prison for Satan and his angels for 1,000 years. So let's do a quick roll call just so we're all on the same page. Where is everybody? Well, the saints are up in heaven with Christ. The wicked are still dead, but their lives are being reviewed in this heavenly court. And what about Satan? He's stuck, right? He's confined to this empty planet with absolutely no one to tempt or deceive. It's like his power is completely neutralized. But this separation, this weird cosmic split screen, doesn't go on forever. Once those 1,000 years are up, the era comes to an end, and everything starts moving toward this massive, dramatic climax where those two separate realities are going to come crashing back together. And when it ends, it happens fast. Three huge things happen, boom, boom, boom. First, Christ, all the saints, and the holy city itself, this incredible divine metropolis. They all descend from heaven and come down to earth. Then, immediately, event 2 happens, the second resurrection. All of the unrighteous who have ever lived are brought back to life, and suddenly the planet is full of people again. And that, of course, sets the stage for the final event, one last epic confrontation. Now, it is so important to understand this point. This second resurrection is only for the unrighteous. They're not being brought back for a second chance. They're being brought back to physically face the judgment that was determined while they were gone during that 1,000-year period in heaven. So just picture the scene for a moment. The stage is set. You have the saints safe inside this magnificent holy city, and on the outside you have millions upon millions of resurrected people, led by Satan, who is now free to deceive them one last time. The two sides are finally face to face for the ultimate climax of this entire cosmic story. And here's how it all goes down in 4 quick steps. First, Satan does what he does best. He deceives this massive army of people and gets them to surround the holy city for one last attack. But before they can do anything, step 2, fire comes down directly from God out of heaven. Step 3, that fire completely consumes them, Satan, his angels, and everyone who chose to follow him. And finally, step 4, that exact same fire spreads across the globe and completely cleanses the entire planet. So this is really fascinating. The fire has 2 jobs at once.
It's not just about destruction, it's also about purification. It serves as the final absolute end to sin and everyone who clung to it, while at the same time, it's sterilizing and renewing the earth itself, getting it ready for a brand new beginning.
Which brings us to the grand finale of this whole prophecy. After the 1,000 years, after the final confrontation, after the fire has done its work, what's the end result? What does everything look like? The source material really sums it up with this incredibly powerful and final statement. The universe will thus be freed of sin and sinners forever. I mean, that's about as definitive as it gets, right? It's not just an ending, it's a permanent solution. The problem of sin is solved for good. So let's just recap that final outcome. It's like a complete threefold reset. First, the very concept of sin is just gone, eliminated. Second, the source of sin, Satan, is gone forever. And third, the earth itself, which was so scarred by all of this, is totally purified and restored. It's a complete do-over for the entire universe. And that really leaves us with this one last incredible question to think about. After a problem that has plagued existence for ages is finally and forever erased, what happens next? What does a new beginning on a purified earth in a universe completely free of sin actually look like? It's a lot to wrap your head around. Thanks for exploring it with me today.